Hey guys, Navonod on No Limit Hold'em. Got an interesting video for you. I hope today. This is the hero on this game. This is an NL20 bovad game with MC SkatMAT, just a poker student who also happens to be my cousin. And he asked me to comment specifically on some hands, on a few hands. And he asked the question, what do we do against donk bets, and then how do I like the adjustments that he made against this maniacal lunatic opponent. What do we do against donk bets? That's pretty easy. Most of the time, the flop is going to come out in such a way that our opponent should not be donking into the pre-flop raiser, because we're going to want to c-bet often. If he knew we were going to c-bet the flop, he'd have literally no incentive to bet into us. He'd want to check and allow us to bet when he had a monster. He'd want to check and call when he had a bluff catcher. He'd want to check his crappy hands. It's the only way he's going to get value with like bottom pairs to check and call. And he can't just then donk as a bluff only, or donk only with draws. The only hands that might have legitimate incentive on most flops to bet into pre-flop raiser with would be like draws. But if you only donk bet your draws, it's not going to be that hard to play against you. So mostly what we do against players that donk bet too often is we thank them for building the pot for us when we have a big hand, for allowing us to get value the only way we can get value with our mediocre hands, and for saving us money on our c-bets when we've got air. That's usually what we do against players that donk too often. He asked about this hand. He said that this hand specifically brought to bear the question, why is it so hard sometimes to figure out if we should check back, bet, call, raise, and basically, man, I'm just saying, that's it, that's the whole game. We're playing poker, that's what we're doing. So don't look at just this board and this opponent and this hand and say, man, how do I play this spot? Let's see if we can figure out what the fundamentals, what the very nuts and bolts, the quillia of No Limit Hold'em really are. Let's go from there. Let's build upon the nuts and bolts. Let's get a good GTO type foundation and conceptualize things that need to be conceptualized, and not really. Well, okay, Bruce Lee put it this way. And if you haven't read the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, you don't have to be a martial artist to appreciate the book. It's great. He said that when you know the branch, you know all the leaves. Or I'm sorry, he said when you know the root of a tree, you know all the branches. Yeah, that's it. And what he means here is that if you know that this tree has the root of a maple tree, you don't have to go and count all the leaves and check every leaf on the tree to know it's a maple leaf. If you know the root of a thing, you know the thing in its entirety. So I think that applies to life in general, and certainly poker. Okay, here is, I think, error number one. This bet is too big, your opponent is too aggressive, you're not going to get to, yeah, see, this is going to happen. Now, what if even the spade comes off? You're still in a complete predicament. I think that you should have either jammed the flop or folded, and probably I'm leaning towards fold. 5-4 of diamonds, yeah, we're going to call. Here, I don't know what we would do other than check and call. We're not happy about it. The big bet size makes me want to puke, but we're going to peel them. And here, yeah, we just jam. We just get it done. Too many draws that are maybe going to give us value now, or combo draws that will give us value now, but won't free brick. What are we going to do on that exact river? This hand is a no-brainer. The hand after this, I think it's the hand after this. I may or may not have been ghosting MC SkatMAT. He may or may not have been using my, well, we'll just leave it at that. I may or may not have been watching, but I really wasn't interfering with his play, and it was not my account, so, or, you know, it wasn't even my filling the blank. Forget I said anything, but here, he was very confused about this, and after he folded the hand, and Villain flashes the hand, he's sick and says, damn it, I knew it. No, you didn't. You didn't know it. You can't know it, and it made all the sense in the world to not stack that hand. What I would say is, even though Ace-9 suited is a hand that I will commonly 3-bet heads up against an unknown player, I don't think it makes a particularly good 3-bet against a player who's being pretty aggressive. Because I mean, ace-9 suited is kind of at the bottom of our value 3-bet range, and if we get 4-bet, we're going to have to fold it, so we may as well just call it rather than waste it as a 3-bet that's generally going to get our opponent to fold or jam. If he's doing a lot of calling, then we can do a lot of 3-betting for value, even thin value, but as soon as our opponent shows a willingness to do some 3-betting, or even getting aggressive post-flop, we think we can, if we think the more value there is in trapping our opponent post-flop, or bluff catching our opponent post-flop, the less value there is in making thin 3-bets. So I think this player, especially towards the end of the year, shapes up to be a guy we don't want to 3-bet ace-9 suited against. We really want to 3-bet more of a polarized range when our opponent's going to either jam or fold. And the way we construct that range, the ratio of value hands versus bluffs in our polarized 3-betting range is going to be determined by how often our opponent folds to a 3-bet compared to how often he jams. The more often he folds, the more bluff-heavy our 3-bet range should be. The more often he jams, the more nutted value-oriented we ought to be. But if he's folding a ton and or jamming a ton, if he's jamming a ton and or folding a ton against our 3-bets, or even 4-betting a ton against our 3-bets, we don't want to use marginal value hands as 3-bets. We'd rather just flat those and 3-bet the better and worse stuff instead. Against that kind of tricky opponent, I think we played this hand just perfectly. I think that was good. I like the adjustments we're making. Yeah, here I think we just have to check and fold. If it was the ace of clubs, I'd probably feel different. Speak of the devil. This hand, I think even against an aggressive player, we can go ahead and bet that flop. One of the reasons we would typically choose to maybe check back a weak ace on a flop like that is because we're worried about getting check raised, but we're not too worried about getting check raised by this guy. We're going to stack it anyway, right? So, or go with it, I should say. But, I think the hand, it was an alternative line. It's a line that I wouldn't have taken personally, but I don't dislike the line. I think you can make an argument for playing the hand exactly the way you did. Once we got to the river, I think a bigger bet sizing could have been good, because it looks like a spot where he may be rather inelastic, but on the other end of that, then we don't give him any opportunity to come over the top and bluff us, so even that's defensible. I like the line. I think it's great. It's probably not what I would have done, but actually I could be talking and thinking it's better than what I would have done. This is, it's fine. Yeah, and checking back, yeah, I don't know. I guess against this particular opponent, this exact makeup of qualities in a player, I actually don't. Now this, I don't like this. Okay, he limps, we raise, he 3-bets, repping aces, the hand that we have. Or we call here. We should be flat calling here 100%. We would be creating a stack to pot ratio that's real small, and we'd have the hand that he's repping so that we could check and call on all flops and probably get it in on the turn if he bets, or if he checks back the turn, then we can, depending on the run out, we can either jam, make a small bet, or check call the river. I think that pocket aces, when our opponent limp raises and reps aces and we have aces, what we don't want to do is click it back, because we kind of let the cat out of the bag saying, well, we've got a good hand, but then we don't even get that much money in if he does call us. So if we're going to let the cat out of the bag anyway, we may as well just make a normal size raise, which at that point would have been a jam, I think, but all things considered, I think we do better against this particular opponent. And when we have aces against a guy who seems to be representing aces, and he is aggressive, and the stack to pot ratio really favors hands like big pocket pairs, I think calling these limp raise would have been the ticket there for sure. I think that's the first spot where I've had taken big issue with the play that was made here. It's a play that you made. Nothing we can do here. Oh, I don't like this either. Limping when he's got like 20 big blinds with King 10 is just inviting this exact scenario to happen, which is a disaster for us. I think making like a 3 times the big blind raise would have been better than that. I think open shoving would have been better than that. I think min raising would have been better than that. I think that it's really to have the hand King 10 suited and to make it one of our first open limps and just invite disaster when he's got exactly 20 big blinds to jam in our face is just really, I mean, that's a really bad spot to be put in when you limp. Your opponent is an aggressive, maniacal player with 20 big blinds. You underrep your hand by limping and they ship it in your face. What hand do you have? What hand can you have that's going to be any more of a nightmare than King 10 suited? It's probably like just barely a fold. It doesn't induce well. It definitely plays well against the range of hands that I would expect to call or min raise with. And your opponent's a maniac, but he's not shipping against every single limp. He's not shipping against every single min raise. He's not 3-betting 100%. He's calling with hands that he can call with. He's just taking like value hands and some bluffs, and he's raising with those. King 10 suited, I think, is going to min raise very well and fare very well against the hands that I wouldn't expect really anybody with half a brain to raise this with. So I think that was kind of a not great play. But overall, I think this idea, we're getting 3-bet a lot, we're getting jammed on, we're getting shoved on, let's start limping Queen 2 offsuit. I hate this less than I hate the King 10 suited, but I think still it's fine to just min raise and fold. It's not a terrible, awful thing. Yeah, I think I favor open folding even to limping Queen 2 offsuit. This is, I don't remember this hand. I like this. I think I can get on board with this. He should have plenty of busted draws and air, and I guess you don't want to let him get the showdown with like a queen high and beat you. Whatever. I think it's fine. There you go. That's what you should have done. I mean, that's the mentality you need to have at 20 big blinds, right? And pocket fours are not that much different than King 10 suited. They're just going to be a hand that is going to be in a terrible predicament if they limp and get shoved on. This is another one of them. If you just jam pocket fours, I have no idea why you would limp ace 3 suited. It's the same hand. This, I mean, definitely rip that pre-flop. I know we want to be trappy. We want to be kind of playing for showdown, playing for to make a hand and let him value on himself. Ace 3 suited does not induce well. It's another one of those hands that is going to do best to just rip in, hope that he folds, and if he calls, realize you'll have plenty of equity against his calling range. Yeah, ace 3 suited, or ace 2 suited, whatever it was, and King 10 suited, don't limp those hands to really, like, between 20, well, what was it, 16 bigs and 20 bigs deep, don't do that. Pocket fours, King 10 suited, ace 2 suited or ace 3 suited, whichever it was. Those hands are all going to be very similar at this stack size, at this depth. King 10 suited is going to play a little bit better post flop, so I guess that's going to be a little bit different. But pocket fours and ace 2 through ace 5 suited are almost the same hand at this stack, at this depth. Yeah, this is a really gross spot. He just did this. I think now you've got better pot odds. It's clear that he's going to be doing this with non-premium hands, and I think it's okay to make this call. It's sick. If you folded, I wouldn't fault you for it. I would expect that he's not going to do it with just a random hand, and you're either going to be way ahead you're either going to be way ahead. No, wait a second. You're either going to be slightly ahead or way behind, mostly. But I do expect he's going to be bluff heavy. You are getting pot odds, and you did have a ton of redraws. Yeah, so I like the way you played. I think you didn't make too many nasty mistakes. I thank you for allowing me to put this video up. It was fun talking about it with you before. Maybe you got a little bit something extra out of it this time, I hope. If not, take solace in the fact that you've helped the Navonod poker whatever you want to call you guys, the Navonod Poker League. There's like 40 of you, whatever. It takes solace in knowing that you've helped a handful of people play better poker. If anybody else has any kind of recording software, it doesn't have to be Cam. That's very expensive. If you've got, there's free software available online that you can just download, record yourself playing, ship it to me, and I'd be more than happy to do the same sort of thing for you. Until next time, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, hope you liked the style, and thanks to MC SkatMAT, aka Cousin Matt, for the opportunity. Until next time, Navonod over and out.